A large model Showman'S engine, and this one is part 69, making a water gauge protector, machining the base and top fittings. Yesterday was a very sad day. On Thursday the 8th of September 2022, Queen Elizabeth II died at the age of 96, bringing the second Elizabethan period of history to an end. Queen Elizabeth's coronation was in 1953, and that's the year I was born. All babies born in that year received commemorative coins, and I still have mine. When I heard the sad news, this is what I was doing, cutting a piece of brass on my bandsaw. It has a new blade, and what a difference. It's making short work of cutting this thick piece of brass. And I'm also finding it much easier to cut on the line. The blade isn't wandering about very much. What I'm making are the top and bottom holders for the 4 brass rods that will protect the water gauge from any impact. Once I cut the piece of brass in half, I clamped both of the pieces together in the machine vise, and using a milling cutter I cleaned across the top. It's very important that these 2 pieces of brass end up being exactly the same size and square. And as for the physical size, I want it to be around about 1 inch square. So I'm being very careful not to remove too much material. And yes, I know I could have used a fly cutter for this job, but once again I'm being lazy and I'm using the cutter that's currently in the milling machine. Changing the tooling is a pet hate of mine because the tools are sharp, they're usually covered in small pieces of swarf, and it takes time. The next part of the job needs a scribed line exactly the same distance from the edge as the width. The current width of these blocks is 1 1/16 of an inch. Being just over the inch will allow some tolerance when I clean up the part using my belt sander once it's finished. Here is the scribed line, and all I need to do now is put both parts back into the milling machine and mill from the top down to this line. This cut is too deep for the surface area of the metal that's in contact with the jaws of the machine vise in the milling machine. I was lucky that both of the pieces didn't move out of alignment. Having said that, I'm carefully controlling the speed of the cut. For the purposes of this tutorial video, it was quite safe to take a deep cut, because this being the first cut, had it have gone wrong, I could have realigned and reclamped the parts on the machine vise and started again, taking finer cuts. And this sequence shows how fine the cuts are. It took quite a while to get down to the line. In an attempt to prevent any viewers from slipping into a coma, this sequence is running at 8 times normal speed. As I got nearer the line, I took progressively finer cuts, because I did not want to go past the line. It wouldn't have been the end of the world though. Had I have cut past the line, all I would have had to do is reclamp the 2 pieces of metal on their sides in the machine vise, and without altering the position of the cutter, I would just have to mill across the other surfaces. That's another reason for marking out slightly oversize, but in the end they are still oversize, but this time after the clean operation on the belt sander to remove the tool marks, they are only oversized by about 1/32 of an inch. I need them to be square because I want the holes to be exactly in the centre. And it's a good idea to use something like a 4-jaw chuck, but I have a better idea, and it's quicker. In my workshop I have 3 lathes, and the reason for this is not because I'm trying to be flash, it's just to save time. Because mainly I make tutorials aimed at beginners, I would generally use my Boxford lathe for most jobs, followed by the Myford, and then for specialist jobs this one. This Smart & Brown lathe is a toolroom lathe. It's very big, very heavy, and very capable, especially for jobs like this. This is the chuck that normally lives on the Smart & Brown. It's a self-centering 4-jaw chuck, the biggest one I have, and in this clip I'm pushing one of the blocks into position using the tailstock chuck. I generally use the tailstock chuck for jobs like this, just to make sure everything runs concentrically. Now what I need to do is centre drill this piece of brass. And I know that the hole is going to be in the centre because this piece of brass is perfectly square, and these 4 large self-centering jaws hold the piece of work tightly. This of course means that there's no point in marking out the centre of the piece of brass, like I would have needed to have done had I have used the independently adjustable 4-jaw chuck. Because this is only a small piece of brass, I'm not putting too much pressure on it with the centre drill. And after centre drilling it, I'm not putting too much pressure on the piece of brass with the main twist drill either. I was being patient and allowed plenty of time for the drill bits to cut. All I have to do now is repeat the process with the other piece of brass. As I'm pressing these pieces of brass into position, the chuck jaws are tight but not too tight. Before the drilling operations, I tighten the chuck a little bit more. Once again, exactly the same as previously shown, centre drill first and then go all the way through with a twist drill. The diameter of this twist drill, as far as I can remember, is 5/8 of an inch. And as before, I'm not putting too much pressure on the drill bit. Now I have two perfectly square pieces of brass with a hole drilled perfectly in the centre of both of them. All I need to do now is reduce the diameter of the end of the gauge glass nuts to fit smoothly into the holes. I didn't want to mess up this job, so it took a while, but in the end it was just the kind of fit that I needed it to be. I did video the entire turning job, but during the edit I thought it was getting a bit long-winded, so shortened it. The flat piece of brass does not go all the way on the nut, because it's been turned with a small round-nosed tool. I'm cleaning up these nuts using a piece of wet dry sandpaper, and although I haven't shown it, I used a deburring tool around the edges of the drilled holes. For this shot, I've just held a couple of the rods in place to give you a general idea what it's going to look like. This is before I used the deburring tool, and the nuts do not go all the way down into the brass blocks. This is what it looked like when I deburred one of the holes in the centre of the brass block. And because the deburring tool is quite sharp, it removes enough metal around the holes in the brass blocks to allow the gauge glass nuts to sit perfectly in position. I ordered some new gauge glass from Blackgates Engineering the other day, but there is actually a postal strike. But then the postman arrived this morning with the gauge glasses, and I said, well, what about the strike? He said they'd cancelled the strike today in respect of the Queen's death yesterday. In the next episode, I'll show the drilling of the holes around the outside edges and the finishing of the parts ready to fit to the water gauge. That's it for now. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.